The calling song. Trigger. Warning. This story contains themes of psychological distress, eerie supernatural elements, and unsettling auditory experiences. Reader discretion is advised. Tonight's story unravels the chilling tale of Maria, a church choir director whose life is about to be consumed by an ancient, haunting melody lurking within a Christmas classic. The countdown to Night 9 has begun. Music has always been my refuge. For 20 years, I've directed the church choir, finding peace and joy in the harmony of Christmas carols. But something has changed. Or maybe I have. It started last week during practice. We were rehearsing Silent Night, a song I've sung more times than I can count, but this time I heard something different. A thread of melody, unfamiliar and unsettling, winding its way through the familiar tune. It felt ancient. Wrong. At first I thought it was someone off-key, but when I stopped the choir to correct them, they looked at me in confusion. They were singing perfectly, they said. Yet I could still hear it, that strange, creeping tune, shadowing every note. I chalked it up to fatigue and tried to move on. But later that night, as I locked up the church, I heard it again. The same haunting melody, drifting through the empty halls, only now it was darker, twisting. The notes seemed to take on a life of their own, spiraling into patterns that crawled across my vision. When I looked at the sheet music on my desk, I froze. The notes were shifting, rearranging themselves into symbols I didn't recognize. Terrified, I grabbed my things and fled, but the melody followed me home. It was in my head, under my skin, like a splinter I couldn't reach. That night, my dreams were filled with visions of ancient cathedrals, shadowy ceremonies performed in darkness, and songs that didn't just open doors. They tore through the veil of reality. The next day, it happened again. The choir sang as if nothing was wrong, but I saw it, shapes forming in the air around them, like echoes made solid. The sound waves twisted into glowing symbols, faint but unmistakable, hanging in the air like warnings only I could see. The church was warm, but their breath frosted as they sang, tiny puffs of vapor in the freezing, unnatural cold. After rehearsal, I stayed behind, desperate for answers. I searched through old hymnals, leafing through pages yellowed with age, until I found it. Tucked in the back of an ancient book was a piece of music I'd never seen before. The notes were jagged, chaotic, and staring at them made my head throb. Beneath the staff was a name. Night 9. The calling song. My hands trembled as I studied the music. The melody was familiar now, the same one that had wormed its way into our carols. But on paper, it felt more dangerous. Alive. The longer I looked, the more the notes seemed to pulse, like veins pumping something unseen. I couldn't stop myself. I began to hum, just a few tentative notes. Instantly, the room grew icy, and the sound warped, echoing strangely in the empty church. The air around me seemed to vibrate, heavy with something I couldn't name. And then, from somewhere deep in the shadows, something hummed back. It was the same melody, but deeper, older, as if it were being sung from the depths of the earth. My breath caught as the sound grew closer, and when I turned, I saw them. Figures, tall and indistinct, emerged from the darkness. They weren't human, shapes made of shadow, gliding silently between the pews. But they were singing. The melody that had haunted me, now full and complete, woven with harmonies that defied nature. Their voices weren't just heard, they were felt, resonating in my bones, pulling at something deep inside me. Frost crept across the windows, spidering down the walls as the figures drew closer. The sound swelled, vibrating so intensely that the air itself seemed to crackle. And I knew then, this wasn't just a song. It was a summoning, an invitation to something ancient and hungry, hidden within the familiar warmth of our carols. It had waited, buried in the music, for someone to notice it. I ran, but the song followed. Even at home, every sound became infected. My playlist, the hum of the refrigerator, even the wind, it all twisted into that same relentless melody. Last night, I found a note slipped under my door, written in the same faded ink as the hymn. The song remembers, the song calls. And now, you must sing. I can't fight it anymore. The melody is inside me, clawing its way out, rising in my throat like a scream. I know that when I sing it, when I let the song out, it will answer. Something will answer. Something that has waited centuries in silence. Thank you for joining me for night 9 of the 12 Nights of Terror. If you're still watching, come back tomorrow. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, because the song is growing louder and I don't know how much longer I can resist. The countdown to night 10 begins.